Welcome back to part 3 of Revenge of the Fallen randomness, and this one is going to surprise a lot of people. If you were around from 2006 to 2011, you probably remember the very beginnings of what generations would become. Things like Universe 08, Henkei, and Gentei were all going on at the time with generations in the oven. But back then, anything that fell into those categories was generally considered classics, mainly because classics set the standard for most of those lines to match up with, and they re-released a lot of classics designs in those later lines. But sometimes, though, you would see classics and generations aesthetics leak into something like, I don't know, the movie line, and things would get a little crazy. And, of course, that's also happened the other way around. Then you've got times where it collides, like Ironhide and the Dreads from Dark of the Moon, and then it becomes a total mindfuck about what's going on. That happens because, 1, they don't have enough room for it in another line, or 2, they have no damn idea where it's supposed to go. Case in point, we have Revenge of the Fallen Bludgeon. This guy is a mystery on a number of levels, mainly in robot mode, so for now we'll just talk about how awesome this tank mode looks. This tank mode is a Japanese Type 90, which just reinforces the whole samurai weeb thing. Funny enough, he actually got this tank mode after he got his ass handed to him by Whirl and decided, hey, I should actually start looking like myself. Which, I mean, the tank mode didn't help because eventually he got his ass kicked by Ironhide and Megatron. But no, this tank mode is great. I am really fond of how the colors look. The green is a bit more army than most army green colored Transformers. I definitely like it more than every Brawl ever. Take notes, you big bastard. Definitely still want one of these things though. But detailing wise, it's very strong. You can see its treads and wheels are molded in near perfectly.
Oh, don't worry, we'll talk about the tank treads later.
You'll also notice on top of his armored plating, he's got various melee weapons molded in, like he's gonna throw them at little humans as they attack him. That's brutal. He's even got a little extra armament with the Brawl missile pods and the machine gun on top. Machine gun even rotates if you're so inclined. As for the rest of his features, he rolls pretty good on these fake and tiny orange wheels, which are fine, but some of them catch for some reason, and I'm not really sure why. I know for sure this back one right here is messed up because the pin, like you can see it there, it's weirdly shining in the light because I think it's gotten chewed up by the treads, which we'll once again get to that later. And of course, you can't forget the tank turret that rotates all the way around and clicks as it goes softly. Suck on that, Legacy Armada Megatron. Overall, it's a pretty good tank mode. Just not too much else to talk about, so let's transform him. The transformation is very intricate and clever, and there's really a lot of moments in it where you're like, huh, that's how that works? I had no idea it was going to do that. I don't think I've ever seen a tank former transform like this, to be honest. The only thing that annoys me a little bit about it is when going back to tank mode, the third-party helmet gets caught sometimes. Also, there's this really funny fail of me stabbing myself on it. Damn. Overall, the transformation is really cool and really fun. And the robot mode is, well, where I start to take issue with this figure. It's cool, don't get me wrong, but like, what the fuck is he supposed to be? You are not telling me that this is a movie design right now. And you know that transformation was too complex to be a classics design, so what the hell's going on here? Seriously, I did so much research on this thing. I asked around with my peers. I came up completely empty-handed. Well, maybe not completely. I've got a little something for you. The story goes that this design was a long time coming for Hasbro. They attempted to release it in RID in 2001, but nope, it fell through and he just became a repaint of Hero Megatron. Then we came to Titanium, which apparently there was a prototype floating around somewhere, but they used the engineering from that to make the Fallen.
Allegedly.
And then there was the Unicron Trilogy one, which wasn't made, but the design was apparently going to show up in Classics, which is where this toy is supposed to be referenced from. Now, with all of these choices, why can't we narrow it down? Because every single damn thing I just told you are rumors. Yeah, none of these statements have yet to be proven yet. Or they probably never will be. Which is why I still have no idea where this design came from. And I'm not hating on it because I love this design. I just feel like if it was meant to be a Bayverse character, Michael Bay would have thrown it in a movie by now. Detailing wise, it's definitely Bludgeon. This time around, I can't say he's movie accurate because, well, he came before any other piece of media was drawn up for him. The comics obviously came second, but nevertheless, this looks great. The skull-like breastplate is becoming a lot more common among bludgeons these days, and I'm honestly here for it. I'm also a pretty big fan of this color combination. Green, the orange, the bone color, and the maroon all for some reason work really well here, when they've really got no business doing so. And I'm sure this is the reason the maroon keeps popping up on Bludgeon. One thing I don't care for is how the tank treads just kind of hang off the side of his arms, which I've seen people take them off, but it just kind of highlights how dangly and gangly his arms are by themselves. Which brings me to the primary drawback of this figure. It's the fact that this toy and others in the line can be melted down by the rubber in his treads. All I have to ask is why? Why the hell was this let go? Demolisher has the exact same problem, and I can only assume Rampage has it too. I was told by my friend Rain about this, and he stated that every single mold was afflicted by this. Even the super expensive one that BotCon came out with that, I don't know, you would want to keep nice? Ugh. Jesus. As for features, you're going to get a little extra because this figure has been graced with the love of early 2000s add-ons, which means we've once again returned to third-party territory. Head Robots made an upgrade to this guy in 2011, which came with a more classic-esque head and 2 blades and a tank barrel cover for the bigger blade. Now, if you own this set or are going to buy this set from somewhere, your blades and tank barrel will not look like this. These are 3D printed replacements off of Etsy because mine, well... my tips! Yes, the blades broke. The handles and blades on this set are very brittle and fragile, and you must be careful with them. And when you're a 6'7" college athlete who played every contact sport known to man, it's kind of hard to be careful.
What? If you were as big as me, you'd break them too.
The swords both go into his hand pretty easily, and that looks great. He holds and poses with these blades so well. I cannot complain about this. They also can store on his side with 2 slots that fold out during transformation, which is a very nice touch. This really makes him look like a samurai now. The take turret also opens up to reveal a scabbard that you can put the smaller sword into. Nice. Also, there's Mechalive in here. David, why did we put this in here? You really think people give a shit about Mechalive anymore? And lastly, we've got this badass head gimmick, which, by the way, we didn't talk about the head. It looks great. It's like Skeletor and General Grievous had a baby. So what you want to do is take off his helmet. Then you just flip his head around and put his helmet back on. And there you go. And now you have that jawless look from IDW, which, as a kid, this is how I knew Bludgeon. I first became acquainted with him in the IDW Heroes and Villains Spotlight book. It was in my school library, and Bludgeon was in Spotlight Soundwave, and he looked like this. So, yeah, I think this is really cool. Articulation on Bludgeon is honestly very hit and miss. The head robot's head does not move hardly at all, just because of how the helmet's designed, which I don't mind. It's okay. It's worth it for how this head looks. His shoulders go out here, but it kind of messes up the illusion there. So you just kind of want to use this shoulder, which is on a hinge. It's universal. And then you can go all the way around with that. Well, as long as that's put in, you can go all the way around. And it's very tight still to this day on mine. It goes, like I said, it went outward there. You got a bicep swivel there. A very, very deep double elbow that goes all the way up here. And then you've got just a wrist tilt, which is unique, to say the least. On his waist, you have no waist swivel because of how he transforms. That's not really possible. You've got the skirts can move around a little bit so you can get some clearance. You can go all the way forward that way. If you move the turret and you fold the back skirt up, you can go back. Actually, no, you can't go back because this is in the way. So yeah, scratch that. You can't go back. But the front skirt does move forward, so you can get really, really, really good kick out of that direction. And then your knee goes about to there, so that's really good. Maybe a little bit more even, yeah. And then the foot can go forward that much, back that much, and the heel spur can fold in and can fold back. So that's good. One thing I will mention though, articulating this knee, yeah, this just comes off on mine. It's very loose, so I'm gonna go ahead and have to tighten that up to get it to stay from now on. But overall, he's, like I said, very hit and miss compared to most of the Revenge of the Fallen line, but I mean, I can't complain too much. He's honestly not too bad, just a little weird in some areas. Now, overall, I think Bludgeon is a good figure. It's not perfect because it does have some revenge engineering thrown in, but he's pretty damn cool. And honestly, I think it's the best Bludgeon we've gotten so far. I realize there's not a lot to go off of, but I still think he's pretty good. Despite his weird origin and his very particular problem, I think he's a worthy pickup, but I also think he's better off with the head robot kit personally. But if you can get your hands on the mold, I think he's worth the research. Now, I have one more video planned for this cycle of Revenge of the Fallen randomness, and you can probably guess what it is. This toy tends to be divisive because it's super popular for some reason, and they seem to think it'll never get made again. And I mean, I really don't think it's that big of a deal, but we shall see. We shall see. We shall see. But until then, keep growing your collections. Treebot out.